What's going on, YouTube? Thomas L here. And there's Friday is the new film Venom, which stars one of my favorite actors, Tom Hardy, who plays Eddie Brock slash Venom. I'm actually looking forward for the movie, and I'm seeing it on Friday. So, anyway, Tom Hardy, like I say, he's probably one of the best actors working today. I mean, I think the dude's terrific. And he's been in a lot of interesting stuff in the past. So I decided to do my top 10 favorite Tom Hardy movies. With that being said, here's my list. Coming in at number 10 is his 2012 movie he did called Lawless, which I guess is kind of an underrated gem. I mean, I don't really hear many people talking about Lawless, but it's a really good movie. It stars Tom Hardy, Shia LaBeouf, and Jason Clarke pretty much as brothers. It also has Jessica Chastain, Dane DeHaan was in this, Gary Oldman, Guy Pearce, Mia Wasikowska, really good cast. And pretty much Hardy, Clarke, and LaBeouf all plays brothers, while Guy Pearce plays a ruthless deputy who tries to shut the brothers' Prohibition era moonshine business after Hardy's character Forrest refuses to pay the cops off. If you guys haven't seen Lawless, I'll say definitely give it a go. Of course, this film was from the Weinstein Company way before the whole controversial with Weinstein came, but this movie is still terrific. I mean, it's good performances. I think you'll probably enjoy it. All right, coming in at number 9 is the 2012 film The Revenant, which of course got a Best Picture nomination, and this was the film that pretty much won Leo DiCaprio his first Oscar. Tom Hardy was also in this. You had Domhnall Gleeson, Will Poulter, and of course this was about adventurer Hugh Glass, who was left from dead. And I mean, this movie is intense. There's like a crazy fight with DiCaprio and a grizzly bear here. Man, that scene with the grizzly bear, you'll probably cover your eyes with that scene. That is an intense scene to watch. Tom Hardy was pretty decent in this too. I think he's got an Oscar nomination as well. I'm not 100% sure, but oh yeah, Hardy did score an acting nomination for this. And of course, The Revenant was directed by Alejandro G. Inarritu. Most likely butchered the name. He also won his like second Oscar for this because before this he won for Birdman. He did a good job at directing. The visuals was stunning. That bear seriously looked real. I mean, I don't think that bear was real or anything. I think it was full CGI. But yeah, this is definitely a pretty interesting film. It's a little slow, I will admit, but it picks up pretty well. All right, coming in at number 8 is Dunkirk, which of course was directed by Christopher Nolan and was also nominated for an Oscar for Best Picture. Dunkirk, of course, starred the likes of Kenneth Branagh, Mark Rylance, Harry Styles, Cillian Murphy. Good music by Hans Zimmer. It won loads of Oscars. Tom Hardy actually pretty much plays a pilot in this movie, and he did. And of course, he had his face covered. and they always have a thing about covering Tom Hardy's face. I don't know what is it. There's like few movies on this list where Tom Hardy plays a character whose face is covered. So I'm trying to think Hollywood doesn't like Tom Hardy's face, but anyway. Of course, this was the film about the Battle of France, where soldiers was pretty much lost, and it was they were like stranded, and it was an intense film. Christopher, it's not really my favorite Christopher Nolan by any means. Of course, that honor goes to The Dark Knight, but it's still pretty decent film to watch. It's really intense. You know, Tom Hardy was good. Christopher Nolan did a pretty good job at directing. If you guys still haven't seen Dunkirk, I'll say definitely give this one a go. All right, coming in at number 7 is kind of another underrated Tom Hardy gem, and that is called The Drop, which got released in 2014, and it was sadly the last film that James Gandolfini did before he passed. This here was such a good crime film. It was actually based on a short story by Dennis Lean, and also starred the aforementioned Gandolfini, as well as Noomi Rapace, John Oritz, James Frenchville. Like Tom Hardy plays a bartender here at a neighborhood bar in Brooklyn, and James Gandolfini is the owner of the bar. And earlier to the mobsters, of course, Gandolfini plays a mobster in this. He's no stranger to the mob genre. And so Bob also leaves the dog on a girl's care until he decides whether to adopt the dog. And I don't really want to go into too much details of this, but something like happens in the film, and I don't really want to give too much away. But it's really good. Tom Hardy is from the UK, and my God, that guy knows how talk like a New Yorker. Like when I saw him in this, I literally kept forgetting he was from the UK. Like seriously, that guy knows how to talk New York. I think he also has a New York accent in Venom, despite not really taking place in New York. Anyway, that guy really shows he could do a New York accent well, and he did a pretty good job in this movie. Yeah, Gan the Feed did a good job as well. I mean, if you guys still haven't seen The Drop, I think you'll probably like it because it's pretty decent. All right, coming in at number 6 is a film called Lock, which pretty much has Tom Hardy on a phone in his car. That's pretty much throughout the whole film. I mean, Tom Hardy did a really good job in this movie. I thought it was well paced, well acted. I think Tom Hardy should have scored an Oscar nomination for this because he did a really good job in this movie. The film was also directed by Stephen. I think the director's name is Stephen. Stephen Knight. He did a good job at directing. I mean, it's called Locke because the character is also his last name is Locke. So, by the way, the film takes place over the course of 2 hours drives from Birmingham to London. Locke holds a total of 36 phone calls with his boss, with Hardy's boss Gareth, his backup, his backup work colleague as well as his wife of 15 years. But yeah, this is a pretty interesting little movie. If you guys haven't seen Locke, I want. These aren't like non-spoiler territory, so I'm not going to get too much details in these movies. But yeah, Locke is a really interesting watch. All right, coming in at number 5 is Mad Max Fury Road. Now, this is another film where Tom Hardy plays a character who has his face all covered up. Of course, this was the fourth installment of the popular Mad Max series, which was led by Mel Gibson back in the days. This film also scored a Best Picture nomination at the Oscar, and it actually won a few awards. And it had a pretty cool cast too. I mean, it had the likes of Charlize Theron, Nicholas Hoult, who was amazing in this. I thought Nicholas Hoult did a fantastic job with this movie. Hugh Keays-Byrne was really good as Hardy did a fantastic job. I'm still hoping Warner Brothers and George Miller moves ahead and does the next Mad Max film, but we'll see if that ever will come into play. All right, coming in number 4 is another Christopher Nolan film, and that is Inception. Wow, it's another film that scored a Best Picture nomination. And Tom Hardy has been tons of Best Picture nominations. He haven't won any, but that's pretty cool, actually. Now, this is, of course, Nolan's classic film. I shouldn't say classic. It'll probably be a classic down the line. But it's pretty much people having a dream within a dream. This is actually a interesting movie, but I will say it is a little confusing to watch. Like, you really have to pay close attention to this movie because it's literally confusing. It also had a cool cast. Besides Hardy, you had the aforementioned Leonardo DiCaprio. Ellen Page was in this. Ken Watanabe. Marion Cotillard. Tom Berenger. Cillian Murphy. Michael Caine. Yeah, this film had some pretty good cinematography. It's pretty fun to watch at times. If you guys still haven't seen Inception, say give it a go. And the ending, I'm surprised they never done a sequel because the ending kind of leaves the film off with a sequel, really. So, and the film made tons of money, so surprised they never went ahead and did a sequel to this. Anyway, coming in at number 3 is the film Bronson, where Tom Hardy plays iconic action star Charles Bronson. I thought Tom Hardy played the role of Bronson really perfectly. He really embodied the role. This is actually his earliest films he did. I think this is more of his breakout role, I believe. And hey, he did a pretty good job. I mean, yeah, he really they really made him look a lot like Charles Bronson, and they did a fantastic job of it. The film was also directed by Nicholas Winding Refn, who went on to direct the movie Drive with Gosling. And it's pretty much more like Bronson's childhood and early life, and he recounts various episodes of criminal behavior, violence, which led to sentence to 7 years in prison. I mean, this is a pretty intense little movie. It's really good to watch. I mean, Hardy gave probably one of his best performances here. If you guys still haven't seen his Bronson movie, it's a really fantastic little movie. All right, coming in at number 2 is The Dark Knight Rises, where Tom Hardy. It's another Christopher Nolan film, by the way, where Tom Hardy pretty much plays the villain Bane. Now, of course, this was a follow up to The Dark Knight, and it was kind of curious to see which villain could top the Joker. I gotta say, I love Tom Hardy as Bane. I know lots of people had a hard time with gave him a hard time. I don't know why people didn't like Tom Hardy as Bane. I thought he played the role perfectly. He really embodied the role as Bane. I mean, I seriously thought he was just fantastic as well. I still wish they could probably bring Tom Hardy back, but we'll probably see another actor to play Bane. I mean, if I was to do my 10 favorite Tom Hardy roles, Bane might actually ended up being number 1. I just thought Tom Hardy was perfect for the role. He played the role well. He gave a good performance as a role. I also really dug that fight scene between him and Christian Bale. That fight scene is probably my favorite fight scene from any comic book movie. But yeah, I really loved him in Dark Knight Rises, and it was pretty decent too. I mean, it wasn't as good as, let's say, The Dark Knight, but I still found The Dark Knight Rises to be pretty enjoyable and fun to watch. Oh, and Anne Hathaway is pretty good as Catwoman, by the way. All right, my number 1 favorite Tom Hardy movie is a 2011 MMA film he did called Warrior. Which, of course, starred Tom Hardy and Joe Egerton as brothers who interest into the mixed martial arts tournament, and they end up, fighting each other, and Nick Nolte plays their drunken dad. The film also had Jennifer Morrison and Frank Grillo. This is a fantastic watch. Now, back when this movie came out, MMA wasn't as popular, so I guess that's kind of why Warrior didn't do all that well. If the movie had came out today, I bet you Warrior would have done like bonkers at the box office, because now MMA is like really popular with audience. But yeah, I thought Tom Hardy and Joe Egerton was both really good in this film. I thought they played off each other out. Nick Nolte scored a Best Supporting Actor nomination for this. He did a really fantastic job. This is a slightly underrated film. I shouldn't say that underrated, because there are actually people who still know what Warrior is. But man, if you guys have not had a chance to check out Warrior, give it a go. It's a really good watch. You don't even have to be a MMA fan to actually appreciate the film too. I mean, it's still a good film. So yeah, whenever you're alone or anything, or if you're with friends or whatever, definitely pop in a Warrior. I think you'll probably have a good time with it. Anyway, that's pretty much it for my top 10 favorite Tom Hardy movies. Let me do the rundown. Number 10, Lawless. Number 9, The Revenant. Number 8, Dunkirk. Number 7, The Drop. Number 6, Locke. Number 5, Mad Max Fury Road. Number 4, Inception. Number 3, Bronson. Number 2, The Dark Knight Rises. And number 1, Warrior. Now, there's a few other films I could have also added. Let me pull up his resume. It was like The Last Jedi, but I can't really remember who he played. Child 4 sucked. This Means War is actually pretty decent. He was in Rock and Roller, which was pretty good. Star Trek Nemesis he was in. I'm really curious to see him as Al Capone in that Fonzo movie. I think that's going to be a pretty cool watch. But yeah, let me leave it to you guys. What are your favorite Tom Hardy movies? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, Hit that bell for more notifications. This here is Thomas L. signing off.